Hi, this is Brett Ingram, entrepreneur and award-winning product creator, and today I want to share with you why done-for-you products don't work and how to fix that. So no matter what we want in life, whether we want to lose weight, whether we want to build muscle, we want to get organized, maybe we want to get rich, there's a done-for-you product for that, right? I mean, you've seen them, maybe even bought some of them. Eat what you want and drop 30 pounds in a month anyway, or add 5 pounds of muscle in a week with 3 simple 5-minute exercises, or maybe your whole life organized in minutes, or push a few buttons and watch money spit out of your computer. You get the idea. Basically, the idea is done-for-you products sell for a really simple reason. They promise a quick and easy result, so it makes logical sense that people would want to buy these things because if they work, fantastic. I mean, imagine being able to generate those results that fast and that easy. But first off, before we jump into this, let's separate these into two different categories. Okay, so first off, you do have flat out scams, okay? They've never had a chance of working. It's all glitz, it's all glamour, and there's actually no meat on the bone. I remember years ago, there was a product that was pitched online, and it was done with sort of a blind video sales letter. So if you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically like a web page, but it was pretty much black. And there was just a video right in the middle of it. And it was this super high quality, overproduced video in an age when high-res video wasn't really that popular online. And it told the story. It was actually brilliantly woven together. And if I tell it to you logically, you'll laugh and say, would anybody really get fooled by that and buy it? But it absolutely happened. So the basic idea was it was a video story that told the story of, for lack of a better term, a bum who lived on the beach. He was homeless, and they showed a picture of him. He had this long beard, and he was dirty and everything else and wasn't really wearing any clothes. And one day when he was thumbing through the garbage cans along the beach, he came across this black manuscript. And when he opened the manuscript, it was all these like formulas and all these weird things and stuff like that. So he grabs the manuscript, he takes it with him. And I think it was later the same day or something like that, a limo, pulls up alongside of him and says, hey, a person rolls down the window and says, hey, you found my manuscript. I want to, bring you to my house and show you how this works. It's sort of like Fletch, if you ever see the movie Fletch. So he gets in the car and he goes to this house and he's starving and he's tired and he's dirty and everything else. And the person takes him into this underground layer where there's computer screen after computer screen, all these numbers and graphs and charts and all this other stuff going on. And so basically, he shows him and he says to him, listen, I've figured out a way to make money that's so easy that all you have to do is push these few buttons and the rest of it works on autopilot. And, you could see here, this is the account balance and this is this. So listen, why don't you try this? I'll give you this test account. And so, he does it, but he's so tired. They get him some food, he eats, he pushes a few buttons and he falls asleep. Well, he wakes up hours later and he's all disoriented, and then he remembers where he is. And he looks up at the computer screen and he sees the chart going up and up and up. And the person comes in and says, look, you did these few things and look at how much money you've already made. And so it's basically a rags to riches story about this person who stumbled on a manuscript, and because of this secret system that he started to use, started to make money hand over fist. And it sounds absurd when I tell it from this perspective. But to give you an idea of how successful and how popular that was, it sold over $1 million of $30 software packages. Over $1 million. That's how compelling this was. That's not the kind of product I'm talking about. Those are scam products. It was basically a piece of shareware that never had a chance to work. The product owner, the person who sold it knew it wasn't going to sell, but they also knew the vast majority of people would not refund it. So even though they'd have a bunch of refunds, they'd still pocket enough money that it was worth the $15,000 that they dropped on the video sales letter and the copywriting to make this beautiful presentation. So I tell you that because I want to separate the two categories. The category I'm talking about are actually legitimate products. They're based on a process that actually could work. They're based on principles and fundamentals that could work, but maybe the pitch results are a little markety. Maybe they're a little hard to come by. Maybe they're a little rare. So maybe you won't get quite the results that you're supposed to get, but at the same time, it's not based on something that's completely ridiculous. So the first category, we're just going to forget about those. There's no value there. If you sniff something out that's like that, I recommend you just ignore it because you're obviously not going to get results. You're just going to get frustrated. The second category, let's take a little bit closer look. And I get it can be difficult to tell the difference between the two, but if everything's blind, this is a huge red flag. If they don't give you any details in the sales process about what it is you're buying, and it's all just claims and blankness, be careful. Because generally speaking, that's something that's probably not as legitimate. If they tell you what the process is, but they don't give you all the steps, that's fine. That's pretty normal. So for me, I'll share an example from my own life. I've always been into fitness and getting in shape. Since I've been a teenager, I've been in the gym. I love weight training. That's my thing. I don't really like cardio. I find that kind of a drag, although I should do more of it. But I love weight training. I love the feel of working out. I like the way I look when I'm working out and I feel good. And I also just love the way I feel after a workout, that pump and, and everything else. So if you like working out, you know exactly what I mean. So I had bought this program that was because I was at a point where I had some mass, but I really wanted to like slim down. I wanted to cut some of the fat. And this program promised to sort of melt the fat off your body and also build lean muscle. I wasn't too worried about that part because I had some lean muscle, but I didn't look as good as I thought I could because I had too much fat there too. And so I got this thing, and it was like pills and like a training book and this whole program. And they showed all these before and after results and things like that. And so I started to use the program, and basically what they had promised was something like 30 to 60 minutes a day is all it would take, like 4 days a week, in order to achieve the results that they said. So I was in the gym and I was trying to do the workouts that they had. And first off, it was pretty complicated and in-depth. But second of all, you would have needed to go on turbo speed to get this thing done in 30 or even 60 minutes. My workouts now take me about 45 minutes. I've got them really honed down. This thing was like an hour and 15 to an hour and a half in the gym. But I suspect if they told people that, people wouldn't have bought it. Now that said, I did put in the work. I recognized it wasn't exactly what it was promised. I mean, they promised that it was going to be a little bit faster. At the same time, I give them credit. I actually got the results I was looking for. By working through the program, it was a 6-week program, and it's highly regimented, and it tells you exactly what to do on every single day, and I followed it as closely as I could. And so even though the workouts were longer than what I was expecting, and longer than the time that I really wanted to spend working out, I have to say I did actually get the results. So there's an example of a product that, okay, the promises were a little bit extreme. I mean, it was more work than they made it sound. At the same time, it was also, by the way, an exhausting workout. At the end of the 60 minutes or 75 or 90 minutes, I was completely dead. But it did work. It gave me the results I was looking for. It trimmed off some of the body fat, and I got leaner by going through the workout. So I had an experience with things, and I've also tried things that were, pie in the sky that didn't work as well. And what I've figured out essentially is that really there are 4 main reasons why those secondary types of products we're talking about, products that have potential, products that are built on real fundamentals, but for some reason or another, don't deliver the results. There are 4 main reasons why they don't work for people. The first is people expect miracles. So if you go into a product and you expect everything to be exactly as it is in face value, and exactly as everything is promised, most likely you're going to be disappointed. It's better off to be a little bit more realistic and expect maybe a percentage of the result. So if the result is X amount, maybe you get 3/4 of that or half of that, or maybe it takes a little bit longer or a little more effort or whatever. So I think it's important to be realistic out of the gate and not expect so much from something that if it doesn't do exactly what it promised letter for letter, then you're going to be disappointed, because in most cases, that's going to be the case. Now, in fairness to the product creators, that's not always the product's fault, and I'll share that with you in a second. Sometimes it's other circumstances that cause that to be the case. They may have actually achieved the result in the time frame they said. In fact, they should have if they're making the claim, but they may have actually done that and might have worked for them, and there's a reason for that, okay? But the first reason is that people expect miracles, and they just think that they're going to get too much for too little too fast. And so we need to be realistic. We need to temper our expectations. The second reason, which is sort of tied to the first, but it's worse, is people give up too quickly. If we get a product or a service, if I had gotten this workout and I had gone into the gym and I said, okay, this first day it took me 90 minutes. They told me 45 minutes I would be done with this. That's double the time. So you know what? Okay, whatever. If I gave up then, I obviously never would have got the results, but I was willing to give it a try and stick with it. I tempered my expectations and I said to myself, look, even if this takes an hour and a half for the results that they're claiming I can get, it's worth it. I want to look like that. I want to feel like that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. The giving up too quickly thing is another example of that. If I had said, okay, well, I'm supposed to get this result after 6 weeks. I'm 1 week into it. I don't see any difference. You know what? That's it. It's not working. I should have 1/6 of the result. I'm 1/6 of the way in. I don't see it, so I'm giving up. That is not the right way to look at things. If we give up too quickly because we don't see it through, then we're doomed to failure before we even start. When I was a kid, I saw, my parents had a garden in the backyard. And one of the things that I just thought it was really cool, that you could put seeds in the ground and then you could pull up vegetables and be able to eat them. I just thought that that was a fascinating idea. So I convinced them to let me make my own little garden. We had this one little extra strip of dirt right along the edge of our foundation on the back side of the house, and it got enough sun. So they told me what I needed to do. They needed, dig it up, put good soil down, then plant the seeds distance apart, then water them, and do this every single day. And they gave me all the steps I needed to follow to do it. And so I started to do it. I started to follow the steps. I put all that work in. I set up all the plot, and I got the good soil in there, and I dug the seeds in, and I put them in the right distance, and then I watered them, and I did all the things I was supposed to do right. And a couple of weeks into it, I'm watering it, I start to get impatient. And I think to myself, is this even working? There were a couple of little sprouts that had come up. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna see, because I don't even know if this is working. And I started to pull them up. And I had a little tiny turnip, and I had a little tiny carrot. And I was actually ashamed after I pulled them all up because it was working. And I gave up too quickly. I got too impatient, and I said, you know what? They didn't tell me it was going to be done in 2 weeks, but I just assumed, okay, this is enough time. And in that amount of time, they had grown. If I had just stuck with it, then I would have actually been able to build my own garden, and I would have been so excited about it and proud about it. Instead, I was ashamed of myself because I pulled it up too quickly because I got impatient. So giving up too quickly is always a mistake. We have to see things through. The third thing, and this is what I alluded to a while ago, is frame of reference. We all come with a different frame of reference. So the idea that if we follow somebody else's steps, step for step, we're going to get exactly the same result doesn't really scan. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, I like to cook. I'm not a great cook, but I can follow a recipe, but I like to cook. Let's say that I get Wolfgang Puck's recipe for his most famous dish. And it's served in his restaurant and everybody loves it. And, people go crazy for it. I can take that recipe and I can follow it. And I can produce a replica of what he's done. And it might be similar. It might taste similar. It might have a similar texture. I can guarantee you it isn't going to be the same. Because there's a difference between him and me in terms of our experience, our frame of reference, what we bring to the table. When he creates the recipe, he might have a recipe that he follows, but I guarantee you he goes off script. I guarantee you, oh, geez, the pan looks a little hot. I'm going to switch this. Oh, you know what? I think it needs a little bit more of this. He knows how to do all the little things because of his experience, his expertise, and his talent in the area that he's working with. It's no different if we look at music. If you try to play, a famous music piece from a great composer, right? It's going to come out good. You'll be able to follow the steps. You'll be able to play the keys or do whatever you need to do. But you're going to be hard pressed to do it exactly the way they would because it has a little bit of their personality in it. And this is where there's sometimes a breakdown. Our frame of reference, our perspective, our experience that we bring to the table is different for each and every one of us. So the idea that we can take exactly what they did and copy it exactly and get exactly the same results is a little bit unrealistic if we're being honest. The idea is we can take it, we can learn from it, and we can figure out, hey, this is pretty close. And then maybe we can make some tweaks to it and make it our own, or make our own version, or make it better through the process of trial and error and through the process of gaining experience. But that's no different in the business world. There are things that we can follow that other people will do, and it's difficult to expect exactly the same result. We can get close, we can mimic it, we can duplicate it, we can come, within, the general idea of what they've done, but we might need to make some changes for our own experience and our own situation. And then the fourth problem is, or the fourth issue of why sometimes these done for you things don't produce the same results, is we don't analyze and adapt. One of the most important things that we can do, okay, if we start to use something, we start to do something, even though we're following the directions, even though we are, doing the steps and doing what we're supposed to be doing, it's super important to use our analytical mind and say, is this working? Does it look like, when I had the garden, I could have been analytical and seen it was working. There were sprouts coming up. That shows me that it's working. I had no reason to pull those up. I got impatient and I pulled them up. If there was nothing breaking through the ground weeks later, okay, maybe I need to dig one of them up and see. That would have been smart. That would have been a good analytical solution to the potential problem. But the evidence, the results were right in front of me. And I didn't take the steps to just keep watering it, keep making sure it got sun, and let it grow to its full potential. So we need to analyze. We need to look at what we're doing, look at the results we're getting, and if necessary, we need to adapt. If things are going well, but maybe not as fast, we can look for tweaks we can make, but we want to stay the course. If we're doing the work but not getting the results at all, we want to make some adaptations, some changes, and some tweaks so we can get closer to where we want to be able to do, where we want to be able to get, because otherwise the problem is we aren't going to ever be able to get there. So if we, change the way that we use these things, they might not work for us directly out of the box, all of these, done for you type things, but there's value in them anyway, because if we modify our expectations a little bit, right, they can work. And in fact, they could be a massive shortcut over starting from scratch. So instead of going into it with the idea that this needs to be perfect, it needs to work, it needs to do everything it claimed to the letter right out of the box, instead, let's go into it with the attitude that we're going to make this work. We love the fact that somebody put all this together for us to give us a huge shortcut, save us all that learning curve, save us all that data collection and all that steps and all the other stuff we need to do, and put it all in one place for us. So let's use it. Let's be patient. Let's look at our results or our lack thereof and try different things, tweak it, do it again. And if you're getting closer, keep going. Don't be me in the garden. And if it's not working, then you can scrap it. But otherwise, you keep going and make those modifications until we get the results we want. So the takeaway here is that while done-for-you products are often too good to be true in terms of the speed and size of results that are promised on the sticker of them, many do have value. And they're built on ideas and processes that actually work. Because we all have different experience levels, frames of reference, skill sets, and because life, technology, and the world are dynamic and always changing, things are always different. Maybe it won't work exactly as is for us out of the box. But if we use it as a shortcut and adjust and adapt as needed, we can get the results that we want.